Wagwan, Mr. Maps.
Yo, what it do, what it is.
What it is, big man. You're alive and kicking.
Yeah. We are live. It's late here. It's late in the Middle East. Salungiselela phela lapha. The holy month officially begins. I guess at midnight tonight. Well, anyway, Ramadan is starting up to tomorrow, which is great for everybody involved because we all work a day that's 2 hours shorter. So I'll try some with 5.
Nice.
So try some with 3. I'll try some with
That's
3.
dope.
So try some with 1. So yeah, everybody in the public, private sector works 2 hours less. I think in the public, it's more the government jobs, and I think they even get like 3 hours off, maybe even 4 hours off, something along those lines. Like banks, they like open at 8 and close at 12. No, Ramadan is lit, fam. And there's, at least for non-Muslims, it becomes the kind of like Black Friday, except for like a month. So like, for example,
Everything's cheaper.
Everything is they're not cheaper necessarily, but there's good deals on everything. So this is the perfect time to buy a car because they'll probably give you free service for like a year or 2 years. All these stupid like deals that will be there for all types of cars from all sorts of manufacturers. And then like, for example, our KFC, McDonald's, all these other restaurants start to have really good like big deals. So like you get an 8-piece. Normally an 8-piece meal would be maybe let's say like maybe like 90 dirhams, right? Like for an 8-piece meal. And then for Ramadan you probably get that for like 60 dirhams. So all month long shit will be super cheap for big meals. So not a 1-person meal, but for big, because what happens is when they break fast, which is called iftar, generally that's around 7-ish p.m, somewhere between 6 and 7, like Ilanga City Chonile or something along those lines. So that's when they break the fast for the day, and it's obviously you're starving because you haven't eaten since like 5 a.m. or some shit. So yeah, it's because of that. So families typically will come together, have a big dinner because your brat was starving. So that's going to be the way of the land for the next month. But what's been interesting, so when I first moved here in 2018, it used to be like really like when it was Ramadan, you knew it was Ramadan. Like everything slows down, and like restaurants had to like cover off. So like from the outside, you can't see that people are eating. So instead of just walking on the street, like let's say past a food court or whatever, the food courts had to put up these big barriers so that Senat doesn't see inside the food court. So you have to walk into the barrier, right, for you to enter the food court, for example. And then when you're in there, you'll see a bunch of people that are eating. Like our non-fasters, right? Yeah. Non-Muslims will be in there. So it used to be this very, like, it was like desolate, like nothing is happening, nobody's partying, like, it was proper, like, this is Ramadan. But over the last few years, the government has slowly been easing up in terms of regulations and stuff like that. So like even before in the office, you were not allowed to drink or eat or anything in public. Like you had to go to the kitchen to sip your water and have your lunch, everything in the kitchen, right?
Okay.
But now they've said, in the office. So we still kind of abide by those rules because we do have some guys who are fasting. So it's like not to be dicks. So we can drink water, have coffee at your desk, but like, don't, bring out your lunch, smelling all good.
I'm filling up my burgers and my ribs and
listen, and then the juice is just dripping on your lip. You're like, hey, kid, like don't do that.
I'll do that. Be like, all right, my guy.
Sure. So yeah.
Okay, so quick question on my side then. What happens during Easter? Do you guys have leave? Do you have holidays during Easter, or
no?
It's just business as usual during Easter.
I don't think in Islam there's any significance for Easter. I don't think so.
Okay.
So yeah, Easter is just, hey, it's Good Friday today, but like literally, I don't think we have any off day. So like if you're a Catholic or whatever,
Yeah.
you would have to just take the day off. If it's that important, you want to
If it's
catch
that
mass or
important for you.
whatever it is, yeah, you just have to take the day off. So I don't think we have any holidays relating to any type of Christianity. So we follow. So like we have like Eid, right, and all the other stuff. So for those are longer. So in the UAE, there's typically we don't have that many separate holidays, but we do have a lot of holidays
Yeah.
clumped up. So like Eid, you'll get like maybe 3 or 4 days off, for example, for Eid,
Oh,
right?
nice.
Yeah, yeah. Whereas other countries that do recognize Islam, like Nigeria and stuff like that, and Uganda, they might just be like Eid is just the day, right? It's a 1 day thing, and that's it. Everybody goes back to normal after that. Tina, it's a whole long weekend, plan a trip, go, see your parents, or whatever,
Okay.
type of thing. But yeah, I was
So
saying
what are
that you
you gonna do?
still planning, still trying to figure out. But yeah, it's the best time and the worst time because obviously flights jump up because everybody's trying to go on a trip. So yeah, still trying to figure out those logistics. But yeah, anyway, I was saying Butikona, they're slowly repealing our laws, Akon. So it's not as serious. Well, let me take that back. It is still serious, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's so, for example, like in the office, they're
Yeah.
like, yeah, listen, you can have some coffee, you can have dry snacks, you can have your water next to you. And then even restaurants now don't have to put up the barriers. So if I'm walking down the street in the middle of the day, they can operate as if it's not Ramadan, right? So they're trying to make it
Oh, okay.
a more habitable environment for someone who's not necessarily fasting or not Muslim. So I think it is interesting, just the sort of balancing act that the Middle Eastern countries are trying to do to try and be inclusive. It is commendable, to be honest. Because where
But I
they
mean,
started,
Dennis.
they were zero tolerance. They were like, "Kale set is up," and it's like if you don't like it. So there's definitely been a change in leadership strategy.
Because I remember back in the day, you'd have to work. I think you were working Sundays, and then you'd have
Yeah. So
Friday off.
our calendar was shifted. So I worked Sunday to Thursdays. So my weekends were Fridays and Saturdays, which was great and terrible. Great in that on Friday we're at brunch, we're getting lit, and I was saying at the plantation watching us get lit. So I loved that part of it. But then now I'm seeing Senna at a brunch Sunday, and I'm at the plantation, and I was like, that's annoying. So it was a double-edged sword. But definitely an interesting experience, to be honest. So this is the first year that they've gone to the I guess it's the Georgian calendar or whatever, the Monday to Friday. So I think Qatar is still on the Thursday or on the Sunday to Thursday. Most of the GCC countries I think are still on the old calendar. So it's an interesting thing because obviously they do a lot of business with each other. So Fridays become dead days for a lot of the time because we might be working, but those guys are off. If you have partners in like Oman, in Qatar, in Bahrain, and all these other countries, so again, we don't. Well, I don't do. I don't do any business with those markets, so I wouldn't know. But yeah, it's definitely something that is taking some adjusting. But like, yeah, I think the UAE has taken a lot of big steps in terms of being more of an attractive destination over some of those other Middle Eastern competitive countries.
Okay. 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 No. So enjoy Ramadan. Enjoy the time
Yeah,
off and the
we will
benefits
be
that
in the
come with it, and
meat. We'll
obviously.
be in the meat. Now a man can have some sort of work-life balance, leaving the office when the sun is still up. That's always weird for me. It's just like driving home and the sun's up. It's like, what? But yeah, no, definitely more time at home, more time with the fam. I'm definitely looking forward to that. But oh yes, guys, welcome back. It is another episode of 6 Foot Weight. To be honest, I don't even know why we do intros. Y'all should know by now what you're in for. But if in case you didn't know, it's your favorite hour, your favorite cheese boys. My name is Tabo.
My name is Senna.
And yeah, we back for a late night session of talks with the boys. One thing that we discussed just before coming on air, at least the first time we tried coming on air. I was having my lunch, and part of my lunch was sweet potato, and the sweet potato was sweet potato ring. It was slapping. It was good. Every morsel, every bite, I was like, yes, come through, man. And then Senna says, can you chowing in Bambaila? And I was just like, no, I'm having sweet potato. There's a difference. So obviously, again, if you guys know the podcast, we're cheese boys, right? So this is really on brand, but I genuinely do believe that there's a difference between sweet potato and imbambaila. For any non-Ndebele speakers, imbambaila is literally sweet potato. For like, it's a direct translation. In Ndebele, sweet potato is imbambaila. But anyway, my point here is very simple point.
Yes.
Which is again, sweet potato. What I would categorize as sweet potato. Everybody's had sweet potato. You go to a restaurant, let me get some sweet potato fries, or your steak comes with sweet potato on the side. Whatever it is, whatever meal that you have, it comes with sweet potato. You don't necessarily need a beverage to have that sweet potato, right? It's just like, hey, I'm gonna eat this. It's good. Move on with life. Whereas within Bambaila, right? You can't have Imbambaila with no bev. That's being suicidal, right? That's just the moment when you said the word Mbambaila to me, in my mind, I immediately flashed back to a time when I had no bev. And I was just struggling to swallow.
Yeah.
I was so I think there is a difference. I think there is a difference between sweet potato and in Mbambaila. Y'all can fight me. I'm sure I should have some people who
the exact same thing.
They're not the same thing, son. It's not the same thing. It's just not. Unfortunately, it's not.
It's literally
there's a reason why they call it road
runner,
and they don't call it chicken. Yeah, well, if I invite you to my crib, if I invite you to my house, Senna, and you're like, oh, Tawa, what are we having for dinner? And I'm like, oh, we're having chicken for dinner. You're like, sure, chicken.
Yeah.
Volume busy to road runner. Like,
no, but for real, bro. It's still chicken. It's not like you've lied to me. It's still chicken.
By definition. Yes.
Well, you're going to end up going into the whole gouache thing. What one is gouache and the other one is like...
To be honest, I don't think it has anything to do with being gouache. I'm just
the same thing.
There's a difference. So, nobody's saying Roadrunner is
the same thing.
Roadrunner is juicy. It's a tasty type of, poultry. It's just not chicken.
It's chicken, dog. It's chicken. In cook, right? Just like in Bambaila, right? It's whether or not you're having it as fried. It's fried. It's Bambaila fries. I'll put it that way. It's not sweet potato fries. If we're translating it, right? It's the same thing. Ultimately, when you dig it up from the ground, pumagweni kuimbambaila. What you do with it is then what determines, what type of imbambaila you have. So you have imbambaila, which is fried into strips, the sweet potato fries, or you just have sweet potato yonale ekamayo if you just eat it as it is with no beverage. It's still sweet potato, right? It's just, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Anyway, so I guess we'll leave this one. We'll leave this one for the people then, and they will decide. Let us know, guys. Is Mbambaila and sweet potato, are they the same thing, or do you see what I'm saying? Do you see that there is a difference at the end of the day? And again, the meme that was posted in the group center. It's literally exactly the same situation. Exactly the same type of situation. There's no need to discuss the meme, but it's the same thing. What do we have here? One thing that I saw real quick as a tweet, we'll start with this. The tip culture in America is really bad, fam. Oh my God, it is really, really bad. When I guess let me start with the tweet itself. and I'll expand into it. The level of entitlement is insane. I don't even know who to go out. But anyway, so someone tweeted. I'm guessing she, is an American that works as a waitress in America, right? So she
Yeah.
tweets, I fucking hate Europeans sometimes, on God. This table just left $70 on a $700 check after chilling for hours. My manager even asked about their service, and they were over the moon about my service. And so she explained that it's customary to tip 20%, and they were just like, okay, and then left. And then she put out some additional tweets, because obviously people are reacting. So she says, "Oh God, I already know that this is going to get the most insufferable. Tipping isn't mandatory. Just get a job or magically change laws overnight. I'm such a genius to say this type of replies imaginable." And then she followed up with a tweet saying, muting this at 400 likes because I simply don't want to be bothered, but coming back because this seems pertinent for some of you. So yeah, anyway, so I'm sure people were cooking up because, the energy that she had
Yes.
was a lot. But what killed me the most, so like less so what she tweeted, but there were so many more Americans that were responding on the tweet, that were saying, yeah, I totally relate. Vele, Europeans, bad super. Someone even said they're basically the worst customers. And then someone else goes, why is this every time? And like, so she was proper getting support. There was, and it reminded me of a time. So we went to, my colleagues and I went to Boston and New York last year, right, in the fall, and they went out for dinner at this restaurant, and it was good. Everything's good. Everyone, has their meal, sharp, right, and it gets to paying the bill. So the bill was roughly $1,000, roughly somewhere along those lines, and.
Yeah.
So essentially, one of my colleagues goes, right, and he tip lapa is I think there was 8 of them or whatever. However, he did the maths, but he's like, okay, tip lapa is 20%. So if everyone just goes on their what they ate and just pay an extra 2% on what you ate, it will add up,
Yeah.
right? So I don't even know how he kind got his maths, but that
Should
was
be an
his
extra
theory.
20% on what you ate. Then
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
so, right?
So
Okay.
that would be mad though if it's in. Actually, I don't even know. Someone else can work out that maths. It's too late in the night for me to start trying to figure that shit out. But anyway, he says,
Yeah.
guys, if I got 2%, if Senna had a steak for $100, then 2%, 102, right? So everyone does that, and they start to pay. So like
It
throughout
won't work out.
the first three three or four earns pay, and this is how mad it is, right? The manager of the restaurant then clocks what's going. I don't know. Maybe she's seeing the payments as they're coming in. Hey, these are below the threshold. This is not going to add up. She comes out
Yeah.
and she goes, "Hey guys, how are you doing? How was your meal?" They say, "Hey, our meal was fantastic. It's all good. Good to go." It's like, "Oh, okay. There were no issues." They're like, "No, we didn't have any issues." She's like, "Oh, okay, because we're just noticing that the amount that you're tipping is lower than what's normally tipped." And I'm just thinking, like, again, for your manager to now come in and be like, hey, Himalaya shorter type of thing, I think that's a lot. I think that's a little bit out of bounds at the end of the day. And I think that is straying away from what tipping actually is. And if America have found a way to, so essentially the manager insisted that, hey, bruh, this is 20%. You guys need to pay.
Yeah.
Oksala is $200 minimum on top of the 1K that you paid, minimal. Right, like this. However you figure that out, it's on you. But this is what you're gotta do. And I just think, at the end of the day, like in Dubai, the culture is not aggressive at all, right? So you want to tip people because they did a good job. You get world class waitresses,
Yeah.
waiters who come in, they do a good job, they talk to you. It's fantastic, right? And then you tip because you're like, this was great service. But then my issue is, in the States, it may not necessarily be great service. Because like I went out for dinner, so this is in Boston now, just before I left Boston. Got out for dinner with Leroy and his wife, a couple homies, and we all ordered burgers. And the waitress forgot Leroy's burger. So like there's like 5 burgers out, there's one missing, and Leroy. So we give it like 5 minutes, right? We're like, okay, maybe Leroy's is just, still being prepped, whatever. 10 minutes go by. Wow, she's coming, really pouring water into people's glasses. Really, it's just, there's nothing that's, clocking in her mind. And then eventually Leroy is like, hey, sorry, my sister, I'm sorry. Hey, how far with my burger? And then when someone realizes that they've forgotten, but they're trying not to give it away, right? So she has that moment internally.
Yeah.
I'm watching it. So I'm like, hey, it just clicked that you're missing a burger. So she's like, oh, okay, cool. Let me just go check with the kitchen to see what's going on. She took like 5-6 minutes, and all of a sudden the burger came out of nowhere, right? And she's like, oh, no, the chef had to replay it, got tin, whatever. And again, the service was shitty because we ordered starters, and the starters came at the same time as the mains. And I'm like, so what was the point of ordering starters if they're going to come at the same time? So overall, personally, I gave that experience, I would have given that experience 4 out of 10, right? 4 out of 10.
Yeah.
Overall, 4 out of 10. Maybe even 3.5, but 4 out of 10 to be fair. And in that type of environment, I'm not tipping shit. Because, again, in my mind, I feel like you need to be motivated to tip, right? But in America, totally different thing, where it's just like, no matter what the service is, I still have to tip you. But what is a tip really, right? Is a tip not like an extra thank you to, yes, I know you're making money. But
It's
like,
an extra...
Yeah, no. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. What do you think?
Didn't something similar happen when you were around this time around, when we went to that steak joint, and then I think we got the maths wrong, right? And then somehow the tip came to be, yes, at Iron Steak. Then the tip came to be below 10%. I think it was still substantial, but it just came to be like below 10%. And she was like, "Hi guys, sorry, to be honest, the bill is this much, and the tip is this, and I don't want to lie to you, it's not, at the usual level," right? I remember we're like, okay, cool, let's work it out, whatever it is, right? And we paid the difference. I'm not sure if I've told you the story, but what once happened again in Cape Town, but this time it was at Iron Steak. It was a white chick, right? I think I've told the story about how a Zim waitress by the waterfront once, I think it was all of us, my parents had come to visit. So all of us are sitting at a table. There's 6 of us. There's 6 of us at the table. We order food, drinks. The drinks came late. The food came late. She had mixed up a couple of orders, whatever it was, right? And then when my dad was paying, he only tipped a little bit, right? He didn't go full 10%. So I think the thing is, right, when you're looking at about 6 people...
So your threshold is 10%?
It's 10% in South Africa, yeah. 10% is customary.
Okay.
Abantu, they'll even, some restaurants, they will just apply it automatically to the bill. Like, which sucks because sometimes we'll end up paying the tip that has already been calculated. But, story for another day. And then my dad's like, we're such a big table. I don't think, maybe if the bill says 1 point, whatever, right? I don't think you can walk away with a tip of 100 Rand based on the service that you've given. So maybe let's give you 80, right? It's below 10%, but we've given you something. Miguel comes through and she was like, sorry, it's not 10%. This is a Nosha hand, by the way, right? She goes, it's not 10%. And then my dad's like, no, but we've given you the tip that I think you deserve. Because, let's not lie, the service wasn't great.
Yeah.
And then she keeps quiet, and then she mutters under her breath, "This is why we like serving white people," right? Now,
no way,
right? Bro, I'm not lying. So the thing is, right, she's saying this, and she's standing next to me, so my dad can't hear it, but I can, right? My mom and my sister on the other side of the table, they didn't hear this shit too, right? My younger sister also didn't hear it. My brother didn't hear it too. So I'm the only one who's heard. So I have two choices here, Mr. Maps. I could let it slide and be,
Yeah.
peaceful member of Umpagati, or I could be messy. I could
I
decide to start
pray
some
that you
shit.
were messy.
So I turn around. I'm like, sorry, Sissy, can you please repeat what you said now? My mother
Say that
didn't hear you.
again. Ah, yes. That's the energy.
Like, can you just? I also don't. I don't like fighting, so I'm like, no, let me not shout at you. Just say it at the
Yeah.
back so that the real
So
two of
that
us
the whole
can
class
hear
can,
you.
can hear you.
Because you're obviously. Then she's like, no, I didn't say anything. I'm like, no, man, I heard you, right? So now my dad's not playing anymore, right? He's like, no, what did you say? So my dad's like, no, what did you say? I'm curious.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then my mom's like, sis, Uten. And now my mother and my sister, they're like, they get involved, right? So now it's like a thing, right? They're like,
Yeah.
sorry, Sissy, Uten. And it's like,
Yeah.
no, I didn't say anything. He misheard me. I'm like, no, Sissy, did you not say, Uguti, this is why you prefer serving white people,
Yeah.
right? So now I've said this out loud.
Did she know that
My
y'all
mom and my
from
sister
Zim?
have heard it. She didn't at that time, right?
Okay. Okay.
I don't like quoting my mother, though people have an idea of the kind of person that she is. So there's something that she said that day, which will forever, I'll never forget it, right?
Yeah.
She switched to Shona. I don't remember what she said in Shona. And then she came back to Isindebele and said, sure, ungasuka emaswingo. Ukuyozosidelela lapha eCape Town."
Oh my god. Yeah. That's the
And
devil mother
then
for you.
And then my dad is now on some, okay, cool, I'm not paying this tip.
Yeah.
I was gonna add an 80 rand, kotlang 80 on a Leo.
Like
And
girl
then
pants.
yeah, so now I'm just chilling there, right? Because I started all this whole thing, right? Now I'm
Yeah.
just watching this ish now. Like I'm not taking a back seat, I'm just watching it all play out. And then my sister's like, no, actually, can you please call the manager? Because
Of course.
we take offense to what you
Yeah.
just said to us.
Yeah.
So she goes, she pulls the manager, and then they start speaking in Shona, right?
The manager's also Sean.
The manager is also Shona. So
Okay.
obviously he doesn't own the establishment. He just
Yeah.
manages it. So
Manages.
probably when he's managing and he hires a lot of homeboys and homegirls,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
I don't know what they said to they speaking to my mother. My mother understands Shona. She speaks very fluently, and they speak. And I think there was an understanding. Which I know we apologize. She's out of line. And then I think that the remark the lasting remark was I understand Uguti, you come here looking for a better life, but it doesn't mean Uguti you have to treat black people with this disrespect that I've just
Yeah.
seen here. And she's probably speaking to you in Shona because she thinks we don't understand, but mina
Yeah.
ngiyasizwa. So can you do something? Obviously my sister's more formal about it. She's like, no, Mina, I'm filing a complaint on, is it Hello Peter? That site where you can review and leave comments for other people.
Yeah.
Usually like marketing, because it was a franchise chain, right? I
So
think
it's
it
like
was Cape Town
TripAdvisor
Fish
type of
Market.
thing.
Yeah, something like that, right? So
Yeah.
usually marketing teams literally read through the stuff, and then if you get a bad review, they'll call the franchise to say, what happened, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyways, we left. But my lasting impression from that was Oguti tipping has become, in the restaurant industry in particular, a very big, it's beyond custom now. It's now just a must, right? It's not compulsory, which
Yeah.
is interesting because tipping exists in every industry, in every sphere, in every service industry, right? Whether you're a petrol attendant, whether you can be an Uber driver, an Uber Eats delivery person, whoever you are, you can get a tip.
Yeah.
Even if you're a security guard, right? These guys who watch our cars,
Yeah.
you decide how much you give them. It seems that the restaurant industry, and I blame not the waiters and the waitresses, but the actual restaurant owners, right? Because I think they've just made it a thing, Uguti, this is a must in our industry. And it's an exception to everywhere else, right? When you pour petrol, sometimes you can walk away without tipping. You can tip
Yeah.
if you want. You don't have to tip 10%. You can, if you have a couple of coins, you say, hey, no, Nancy, I poured 20 Rand. You washed my windscreen. Kwasha kwacima, bamba Nancy 10 Rand.
Yeah.
It's up to you, right? The restaurant industry has come to a point where they're like, okay, Tina, we provide a service which is, I don't know, maybe more intimate, more
Yeah.
extensive. So we should get a tip, or our staff should get a tip as as whatever the 10% rule that it is in South Africa now. It's short of being
Yeah.
put into legislation, although it's not, but it's literally, it might as well be there.
No, but I feel like then that's restaurants. I think them trying to shift the blame on underpaying waiters and waitresses, and they're trying
Yeah,
to put that on customers, because at the
that's
end of the
exactly what it
day,
is.
I would sooner pay an extra premium on my meal and not have to tip, right, and not be harassed for a tip. Sooner tell me, Guti, this steak will cost you an extra, 30 dirhams, right? And it's
Yeah,
accounting for, because we have to pay more for our staff. I would sooner do that, because at the
yeah.
end of the day, if you're gonna harass me and be like, basically you need to give us this money, because Oksala, if I'm just like, no, I don't want to tip, then what? Are you gonna call the cops? Right? Like,
No,
how
they
are you going
won't.
to
They'll just
stop me
shame
from
you.
not tipping? Yeah, and it's like, why are
Yeah,
you, and again, why is a restaurant trying to shame a customer in the first place? You know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't make any sense. And I think because maybe in those employees know there's no way we are going to change the restaurant culture,
yeah,
but at least with the people who we can catch are my customers, and that to me is pathetic,
yeah,
right? Because it's like, no, at the end of the day, pay them more. The government steps in and say, mm-mm, if someone is a waitress at X type of restaurant,
yeah.
or a waiter, this is the minimum threshold that you pay these individuals. And if it means
Yeah.
restaurants say, hey, listen, we have to make our shit more
But look,
expensive, then make it more expensive. Honestly.
no, but that industry is a cesspool of exploitation. Let me put it that way, right? So let's say you own a franchise, right? A breakfast franchise. I don't want to call these guys by name. Maybe I should, right? Let's say you own a Mug and Bean, right? Mug and Bean, the price of breakfast at every Mug and Bean is the same, right? The only way that the franchisees kind of make money is long and short, if they get like a lot of people who come in through the door to order breakfast and do all these things, right? And eat
Yeah.
there and have a good time. That's it. Sometimes, and I've heard this, I'm not sure if it's the case, allegedly, I've heard that there's a lot of restaurants, especially franchises, who do not pay basic salaries, right? So they'll hire these people
Yes.
and say you will earn only in tips.
Yeah.
Now, when they say you'll earn only in tips, one, they know how much they're getting from the meal, from
Yeah.
all of this, from everything. The tips are now up to you as the waiter or the waitress. That's all you're taking home. So it probably, maybe I suspect, was introduced to give them a kind of entitlement to say, okay, cool, you're gonna earn only in tips, but let's actually make sure that you get a tip. So maybe let's
Yeah.
introduce a 10% rule to make sure that, right, whoever walks in here leaves with 10% more than they actually ordered or ate and whatever
Yeah.
it is, right? And that's why you actually have a lot of foreign nationals who work in the restaurant industry in South Africa, because a lot of these guys, maybe you don't have papers, maybe you jumped border, you came, what to figure lapayana, they're like, no, instead of just sitting at home, come earn in tips. We won't pay you a salary, just do the work.
Yeah.
And I think that's how the culture has just become so ingrained in our society. The American thing was very surprising. Uguti, they're very aggressive with it. Like they will
Ah,
push.
right,
Like here in South
Siyazama.
Africa, there's a bit of shame, right? There's like, guys, you should
Yeah.
maybe tip. Maybe
Yeah.
we'd
Yeah.
like it if you leave a 10%. Some people, even if it's not 10%, they'll just leave you. Like
Yeah.
no one's going to trooper you. But it looks like in the States, it will be like you have committed the worst crime if you don't leave 20% of your meal.
Yeah, and that's the part that to me makes zero sense, because I'm like, again, have the government step in and be like, there's no restaurant allowed to not pay someone a basic salary. Put in those policies, right? And protect those workers, right? I'm not saying the waiters and waitresses don't deserve to make money. I want them to make as much money as is possible for them. But at the same time, this kind of trying to shame customers thing, that's not gonna work. That's not gonna fly. And again, it creates an animosity at the end of the day between waitresses or service staff and customers, right? And I think that part of it is absolutely not right for it to happen. Like, I know in the States, it's crazy, bro. Like, properly, how do you give us terrible service, and at the end you have the audacity to be like, yeah, but they'll tip, right? That is, for me, it's the entitlement. That's where you lose me completely. Like in Dubai, there've been people who've even told us at restaurants with listen, if you're gonna tip me, can you please give cash, because these guys are not even gonna give me the cash. And I'm like, okay, absolutely.
Yes, I've heard that.
In that scenario, I will do my best to give you cash, because I do want them to hold on to that, cash, even though I don't like carrying cash. But like, in those situations, like, we're human beings, right? So if you talk to me nice, isn't? And let me, I'll zama you the best that I can. But then if you come in with entitlement, then I will make it my life's mission to make you miserable, because you're not entitled to my money, bro, right? But if you come in like, no, hey, listen, chief, like this restaurant that my wife and I love going to in Dubai, Hunter and Barrel, and it's like I'd like to say it's a South African type joint, because they play, Abu Black Coffee and some of these old school Tati Scoop type of tunes. Like, that's the ambience and the vibe, but it's a steakhouse, right?
Yeah.
So we go there frequently. Like, that's our go-to spot to have a meal. And a lot of the waiters there are obviously Southern Africans, and specifically like dudes dudes from Bulawayo, right? So they come through, hey, Linjani, Salbonani, what. So last time we went there with Cam, and we were trying to eat. So the food had just come. Obviously, Cam is kind of wanting attention. One of the waiters comes to say, all right, let me take him to the kitchen, and he sees some stuff and whatever. And even though like that day Cam was being a bit moody, but otherwise it's like, oh, okay, cool, like, you're not even serving us, but you're just like, let me come in, let me do this and da da da. Like, that type of thing, you would feel like shit not tipping, right? If this is the way that they're doing things and stuff like that. And even like that day we had ordered like a share platter, but they gave us the wrong one, right? And because we didn't even know what was supposed to be on the thing, but we're just like, let's just try something new. We're here so often. We get the wrong order. And then the waitress comes and she's like, because we're like, hey, bro, there's supposed to be a steak that comes with this thing. And she's like, no, you had it before. I'm like, oh, okay, so I guess clearly we got the order wrong. And she clocked it with you when she served us. Me and my wife looked at each other and we're like, this don't look right. But then also it looked good. So we're like, let's just chow. The thing of, well, you don't want to be like, hey, bro.
You don't want to be like, hey, you don't want to be problematic.
Yeah, so you just kind of like, all right, fine, let's just chat. Like, so, and again, the food was delicious, absolutely good. We finished it, right? It was good. And then afterwards, when it's like now time to pay the bill, okay, to that point, I'm like, Pela, as long as we didn't see the thing on the menu said it comes with lamb chops, I didn't see any lamb chops, bro. How far? And she goes, no, you ordered platter. I'm like, okay. So she understands that there was confusion. And we're all on the same page. So I'm like, so manje is right? And she goes, hey, so you're gonna need to probably just pay the bill for what you ordered, even though it's not really because you child, is it? And then in my mind, I'm like, okay, I can be a Karen, right? And just be like, no, hey, what, lose my shit. But then I'm just like, you know what? My wife, these guys know my wife and I. Like, they know us, bruh. Like, we're there all the time. Okay. So I was like, let me see how they treat their regulars. Let me just, this is just going to be a
Let me
litmus test to
pre
see.
Wagwan.
Yeah. And so I was like, yeah, well, okay, if you're saying we need to pay, then I guess, it's fine. The food was good, so we'll just pay. And then one of the dibs, so our waitress was, for that afternoon, was a Nigerian lady.
Yeah.
She was super nice. And then she goes, to sort out the bill. Then one of the dev zones comes. He's like, ngizothiwa khona lithole elingakufuni elingakodanga. I'm like, yeah,
Mm.
yeah, but kuyatholakala, it is what it is, but we'll confusion, pichana. And like, we're chilled about it, right?
Mm.
And he's like,
Yeah.
and so his owner's like, so this is a patel. I'm like, yeah, no, this is a patel, it's fine. The food was good. He's like, no, phela imali
Mm.
le uyisebenzele kanzima. Awumelanga ubhadale nxa ungatholanga ungakudanga. And I was like, so someone is giving me
He'd come
change to
from
go
White
and
Owns.
so I'm just like, okay, you know what? So I'm like, no, Bali, it's all good. Like, I promise, we're chilled, right? Then our waitress comes back maybe like, let's say 5-6 minutes later,
Yeah.
and she now comes back with the bill. And she's like, oh, okay, so, I've spoken to the manager and, we know that there was confusion with your order. You didn't get what you wanted. So we've removed that from your bill. You're just going to pay
Mm.
for what you had eaten, minus the platter. So our
Yeah.
bill went down like a good 40-45% from what it should have been, because they just removed it. They didn't replace it with anything. And I was like, okay, I appreciate that. Because again, in my mind, that's how you do business and that's how you keep your regulars happy, right? That's how, restaurant etiquette is supposed to work. But I just love that,
Mm-hmm.
with the waiters and the waitresses, no matter who we get, it's a consistently great experience in different
Okay.
ways. It's a consistently like, no, these guys are proper, they're cool. I want to tip them as much as I can because, hey, nah, you guys are solid. I like you guys, but and I think that doesn't exist in America, like, be good at your job. I can understand you put your heart and soul into your table and they leave you with nothing. I get completely Uguti. That's messed up. But like
Mm.
the entire, I don't think there's room for any entitlement in the service industry. It does not make any sense to me at all.
But I think I would say it's just the nature of the restaurants and the restaurant owners. I think they're the ones. Unfortunately, the waiters and the waitresses have to deal with the customers who probably maybe have varying opinions about tipping. But I think the industry itself needs to change. It needs to be. I also don't think it's regulated properly. It needs to be properly regulated. I think people need to get paid what they paid,
Yeah, I think they
whether
need
you're
to be
paid,
protected. I
yeah,
think
whether you're
service people
paid
need
for
to
a
be
day,
protected.
right? If they
At the end
say,
of the day, they
yeah,
they they need to have basic
that way,
rights from a business point of view.
yeah, that way, irrespective of whatever your tips are for that day, right? You are still getting your basic. You're not out of pocket. And the thing that you said about waiters asking you to pay them separately, that happens to me all the time here. So Lenda Bayama tips, apparently what they do is sometimes they don't pay back the tips. Some restaurants will say so the tips will be used to cover damages. So if someone broke a plate, that time they're insured for that kind of stuff, right? By the way, they budget for breakage and stuff, right? You don't work with glasses without budgeting for breakage. But they'll say, "Good, that will deduct any incorrect orders from your salary or from your tip. Will deduct any incorrect, any, I don't know, something that a customer refuses to pay, for example. Then they'll say they'll deduct breakage, and then in some instances they'll just take the tip and they'll just share it evenly amongst the wait staff, right? So that's why some of them will say, actually, do you mind just giving me cash for my tip, and then Mina on the bill, I'll just write Uguti customer didn't tip, which is probably, in South Africa, it's not a crime, right? It's not like they're going to stop me at the door to say, sorry, gratuity, you didn't put anything,
Yeah.
whatever, right? The waiter will walk away with his 100 rand or whatever it is that you gave him, and he'll be fine. But sometimes they'll take that money, put it into a pool, and say, right, Tabo, even though when you got a 500 rand tip from that couple, that came from Dubai and decided they want to splurge. You're gonna share it with Senna, who the max tip he got was $50. But all of you will have a share of that 500, which was paid for your services. Shitty
Yeah,
culture
yeah, yeah, yeah.
needs
They
to
do that.
change.
I've heard that one. Absolutely. Now I've heard that one. With the tip becomes shared between everybody else, and it's like
But they
what if
must
it's
stop
only two
shaming
tables that
us,
came in?
the wait staff, because I think sometimes, sometimes abantu budget all they can for a night out. Like it's like, yo, I've got this 500 rand. Let me take myself out for dinner, or take me and someone out for dinner. And then you
Yeah.
don't budget for the incidentals that come with it. But the other argument is, well, if you're gonna go out, then budget for the tip. No, it's for some people that just might not be top of mind.
Yeah, nah, honestly, make the food more expensive. If you made everything 20% more expensive, I promise you, nobody's going to complain. And as long as that 20% is going to your staff, then cool. Then it's already baked into their salaries that they get that 20%. But anyway, let's
But why the
let's
restaurant
let's let's
industry in
move on.
particular, more than
I think it's easier. I think it's easier to take advantage of people.
I guess so.
Yeah, I think it's easier to take advantage of these guys at the end of the day, and also the service is longer. The petrol earns is like, bro, I'm just doing this for what 1 minute, and then you move on and
Yeah,
wadi
then I'm
wadi
done.
wadi. Yeah, so it's. I think just because if you're
Okay.
in a restaurant, you're in there for at least an hour. So there's I don't know, but anyway, if anyone's an expert in these things, our waiter, come in at us, tell us about the politics. If there's anything that we missed, obviously me and Senna haven't been in that industry, so maybe there's a huge simple thing that you've been screaming at your phone like, guys, it's because of this,
Right.
whatever that this thing is. At
Yeah,
us,
like
let us
maybe you were
know.
a waiter during, I don't know, maybe you're a waiter now, maybe you're a waiter in your varsity days, maybe you're a
Yeah.
waiter at some point in your life and you're listening to us and you're like, these niggas, these cheese boys.
Busy screaming privilege at the top of your lungs. We
Exactly,
apologize. We
exactly.
apologize.
But you understand that our war is with the actual restaurants, not
It's
with
with the management. It's not you. You are silly solely. We understand you're just trying to hustle, and you're not at that American level of craziness. But anyway, Mr. Boy, let's move on. Let's move on to the next thing. Right, Mr. Moore. There was a little thing that happened in South Africa. I think yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, maybe it was the day before.
no, it
Yeah,
was
it
Monday.
was Monday. Oh, it was Monday. Okay, Blue Monday, Monday,
Monday,
Monday.
Monday.
Yeah, it was a national shutdown organized by the EFF, by Comrade, the Honorable Julius Malem.
Yes.
So again, I'll leave it to you to color in, what had happened. My basic understanding is the EFF had called for a national shutdown to try and remove Cyril, or maybe the entire government. I'm not sure. But yeah, I'll allow you to take it from here and give the people the much needed context as to why y'all stayed away from the workplace on Monday.
So, as you know, Mr. Maps, Malema is the leader of the EFF, one of the opposition parties in South Africa. I'll say over the last year, what's happened is, so a lot of things have happened. Right? We came out of COVID, and war with Ukraine, prices went up. Everything just went up. Like price of food, price of petrol. Like petrol is now like 20 something rand per liter. It used to be during the Zuma years. I remember 16 rand or whatever it was, right? It was cheaper. So everything's gone up, right? So the cost of living, everything, like it's ungovernable. Um but I think above everything is the load shedding, right? So the electricity crisis has just gotten worse. So whereas in the past you'd have load shedding for a couple of weeks and then we'd have consistent power, you'd have power for months, and then maybe for a few weeks they'll be like, system is strained, we're gonna implement load shedding for like a month. And then, that okay, this is the timetable, this is the schedule, and we move. What's happened over the last sort of 6 months is load shedding has become a permanent thing. Um, so permanent in the sense that every single day there was load shedding, and it went from stage one, which is I think once 2 hours, 2 hours once a day, to stage two, which is 2 hours twice a day. Stage three is also 2 hours twice a day. Stage four is 1 2 hour slot and then 1 4 hour slot. And then stages five and six, they vary, but it is two 2 hour slots and a 4 hour slot at some point. Once it reaches seven, eight, it becomes really madness. Like you can go half your day without electricity, right?
Yeah.
And on top of that, the president, Cyril, we spoke about Pala Pala Farm Gate a while back, right?
Yeah.
So he basically stashed some USDs in his
Matras.
mattress in his lodge, right? And then the money was stolen, and then he kidnapped people. He broke a whole bunch of laws trying to get the money back and trying to silence people. So he's also embroiled in that at the time when the country is experiencing shocking levels of, load shedding,
Yeah.
kuningi, right? And then Julia said, no, guys, because we're angry, Monday, the 20th of March, we are going to shut down, don't go to work. We're going to march. And yeah, man, that's the essence. That's where it came from. So Monday comes around. This is where you realize. So remember when Zuma got arrested last year, there were
Yeah.
riots.
Yeah.
What happened is there were riots, there was looting, there were people killed. People walked into malls, walked out with groceries, walked out with, I don't know, people damaged cars. Some people tried to steal cars. I remember Omunye trying to put a TV into a Toyota
Oh
Taz,
yeah.
55-inch TV into a
Yeah, I
Toyota
remember that.
Taz.
I
So
remember
there was
that.
all of that, right? Now, what happened this time around is Cyril pulled something from the ZANU PF playbook, or the ANC
Okay.
in general, started pulling things from the ZANU PF playbook. We started hearing things about you'll be dealt with accordingly, there will be a strong military presence, and there was a strong military presence.
Yeah.
Even though the hypocrisy of it is when there was a national shutdown for Zuma when he was president, for Zuma to resign, Zuma was like, you know what? Let them protest. It's their right to freedom of expression. Like, it's fine. And it was a peaceful protest. So it
Yeah.
seemed like Cyril was trying to meet
It's
this with as
democracy.
much, yes, democracy. So Cyril was trying to meet this with as much violence as possible.
Yeah.
There wasn't violence. It was a very peaceful sort of thing, but the discourse online was obviously incredibly divided.
Yeah.
Do you know Stone? You sang a
No.
song that he was featured in a couple of minutes ago. He was one quarter of Bongo Muffin,
Which song?
Tati Scoop.
Oh, yes. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so Stone is the Tswana guy in
Yeah.
Bongo Muffin who'd come in with his rap. So he came online. He came online during the shutdown. He was like, "Fuck the EFF," right? Obviously, he was being cooked the whole day, to a point where people were like, "Imagine all those,
I saw the tweet that you
imagine,
retweeted.
like imagine all those hit songs like Utati Skupu." So the
Uh,
song goes, it plays, Tandiswa sings, Jasid, the Zim guy with the dancehall vibes, he does his
yeah.
thing. And then at the end of every song, there was just Stone with
That is
his,
Gopo is $1.
yeah, exactly. But at the end, there was always Stone with his Tswana
Poetry.
poetry.
It always seemed out of place, bro. You know, it's like that is how
Like,
you're
oh,
slowing
okay,
down
it's
the
out of
vibe.
nowhere. Yo, bro, people told them his beans, right? Because ultimately, everyone is frustrated by the same things about the ANC and South Africa in general, right?
Yeah.
And for the most part, the middle class of this country always say, you guys aren't angry enough, you don't protest, you don't do anything, you just accept load shedding, you accept the corruption. Then EFF said, let's march. Then all of a sudden it's, no, we don't want to march. Hey, hey,
Yeah.
hey, looters. I'm like, no, I mean, if peaceful protest, a peaceful protest.
Yeah.
But yeah, the whole day ANC was pulling ZANU-PF moves. You had Figile Mbalula doing a Nick Mangwana saying it's a peaceful day. This, the
He was trying
typical
to run so much interference.
bro. But anyways, that was the long and short of the shutdown. And for that 48 hours from the Friday, guess what happened? Friday right through to Monday,
Power.
no load shedding, no load shedding. Like we had electricity the whole weekend, including Monday, and then obviously load shedding came back yesterday,
Yeah.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
Bit sad because it just shows you what these guys they can police, they can
Yeah.
provide electricity, they can do all these things. Suganje, I don't know what happens during the course of the year, whether they're driving different agendas, they want to sell ESCOM or whatever it is, or it's incompetence. But I'd say the shutdown worked, but then we're back to default settings now. Check my load shedding schedule.
They said, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I think a lot of people were commenting on this. I think the EFF, in as much as whether it failed or didn't fail, it doesn't matter. I think it succeeded in showing people, like you mentioned, that the government is capable. They just don't want to do it. I saw a tweet that was mentioning these drones monitoring something, and I was like, "What? Y'all have drones monitoring shit?"
Bro,
And you've never heard of that up to that day. I'm pretty sure no one had heard of that level of surveillance, and it's like, why isn't that available every day to South Africans that are getting hijacked or killed and robbed and whatever the hell is happening in the streets? So that was what made me incredibly sad. Of like, an iconic party like the ANC, and their significance in history, to see what they've devolved into, what 23 years post apartheid, and
we're
what am I saying?
29.
23 years. 20. No, you know what? We were talking about the age of one of my cousins, and she was born in like 2000, or 99, and she's turning 23,
Yeah.
right? So in my mind,
Yeah.
that's where 23 came from. But yes, no. 29 years post apartheid. You see, my brain is fried, guys. I'm sorry.
It's been a long
The
day.
math just ain't mathing. Yeah, it's been a long day. So yeah, I think it is honestly, it's disappointing. It's embarrassing, but most importantly for me, it's very disappointing that a party like the ANC can be doing this to its own people. And again, the arrogance in like Mbalula's tweets, nah, guys, the ANC is here. We're committed to doing. We're here for South Africa. The statement that the ANC released, the so-called
The
national
so-called shutdown.
and it's like they seemed like petulant children, and it's like, if you're gonna
Yes.
brand the EFF as petulant children but also be as petulant at the same time, that says a lot about you, if you're supposed to be
Yeah.
the adult in the room. And unfortunately, South Africa is in that loop that Zim is in, of which the party that delivered freedom seems to be the party that's going to have to turn things around. But the problem is the party
Yeah.
doesn't really want to turn things around because it's working for the party, just not the citizens, right?
Yeah, it's working for the
And
individuals.
yeah, for the individuals, jumping into government, like everyone talks about that. They say, you work in government, gumnat. If you're at the top,
Bro.
like they in the inner circles, how
There's money
you're good
being
to go.
eaten there. Serious
Yeah.
money.
It's serious
But
money, bro.
I think I once said this. I do think at some point, the ANC will, maybe not now, it maybe not, in our lifetime, but maybe in 20 years. I think, no, maybe 20 years is too far. In the next couple of elections, they will go the ZANU-PF route and start rigging elections. I
It's new.
think, yeah, dude, I've just seen so many similarities in just the day of the shutdown, right? You could have easily said Mbalula was tweeting from Jonathan Moyo's house or Nick Mangwana's house. The propaganda he was being, even like the statements they were putting out, it was so ZANU PF. Like, I'm like, these guys have gone and gotten the playbook, and it's now there. They are using it each
Yeah.
step of the way.
Yeah.
And I'm sure
Yeah.
once they lose, and I think in the next election they'll lose support. I think it might It's just that the DA also lost Musi Maimane, who I think was big in trying to deliver them the middle class vote, the
Yeah.
middle class black vote. But you could see the ANC losing, the 50% plus majority that they currently have. I mean, they've already lost some of the metros over the last few years. I could see them losing that and then coming back saying, right, next election, Siarika, guys, we're doing this thing. I don't know how we're doing
Yeah.
it, but we're doing it.
My only question about that in terms of the political landscape is I don't see another party that has enough support and enough infrastructure to overthrow the ANC. I
Yeah.
think the people would be willing to get behind that. The problem is I don't see the DA is just it's too, at least for me from the outside looking in, too much branding that makes it seem like the white party, right? So I don't know how, my Coco would go and vote and be like, I'm voting for the DA. I don't know how you
Yeah.
can convince my grandmother to do that. She's going to be like, nope, me now I'm going to vote for the ANC type of thing. So but she would be willing to vote for an ANC light. So if there was another party, if the EFF was less extremist, she'd be open to voting for them, right? Because a lot of what Malema says, it makes sense. It's just that there's times when he lashes the Nokuzen, the plot
Yeah.
completely, and you're
He's
like,
very
"Eh,
left.
you've taken it too far. It's been too. But wait, when you say he's very left, are you saying what? He's very liberal?
No,
I
no,
would
no.
think he's conservative.
Well, in an African sort of political context, when you're left, you're like you want the radical economic transformation. You want
Oh,
the
so those are the
land.
leftists.
Yes, you want the land back to
Yeah,
the land back to the black people. All of it. You want
yeah.
this. It's they don't openly identify as a communist party, but they spew basically communist sort of
Views,
ideology and
which
views
in my
at
mind would
times.
make them right wing. But anyway, that's fine. And again, that's why for me, I think Madema it's one of those like you're on the right track, but it's just a little bit too much. So we can't give you the keys because when it's like that friend where it's like we can't let you drive, right? If this one's behind the wheel, but that's where I'd be worried a little bit about Umanema. But there's certain things that he says genuinely. The
Yeah.
statement that they an easy example, the statement that they released when the Queen died, right? A lot of the sentiment we agreed with. It
Do you know
might
how
have
many
been a bit
black
crass.
people retweeted that all over the world?
Yeah,
Bro. Like,
because it was facts. It was facts. But then, again, in politics, there is the game to play of
yeah.
diplomacy and stuff like that, right? So I just worry that maybe Malema doesn't know how to play the diplomacy game, right? Where it's just
No, it
like,
doesn't.
he might be like, Zach, and it's like, but maybe you do need to in certain instances. So that's where I would worry about Malema in terms of the situation. But yeah,
But he
I'm,
was
I'm
he
I'm
was
curious to see
unf-
how all of this will be resolved in
he
SA.
was he was definitely on track, I believe, to be president of South Africa had he stayed in the ANC. Because I think he was the Youth League president in from like 2008, and then he supported Zuma for days. Like I remember there was a time when he said, "I would die for Jacob Zuma." Like I would die for Jacob Zuma, and we're like, "Yo, no, this man is passionate." But then because he was like, "No, the ANC should start, nationalizing mines, nationalizing farms." The controversy after that was, hey, he must be this, he's involved in corruption, he's this. And obviously Malema would say the most outrageous things. And then eventually
Isn't
the ANC fired him.
Yeah.
The ANC eventually fired him at the request, I think at the
So as
time
a Jonathan
of.
Moyo, literally.
Yeah, yeah. So they were like, hey, my guy, I think it was Cyril as well, who was like, this guy can go. And then he went and started his own political party. And I think the ANC at present is like, you know what? It would be nice to have Malema as part of our ranks. Or maybe he'd just be as corrupt as the other guys and we'd be looking at him as part of the problem. But I think he's become one of the ANC's biggest problems ever since he left the party.
Yeah, because I mean, he knows where the skeletons, are buried, that kind of shit. So he's definitely one of those where you worry about what he would have to say, because he was in, like he was in the inner circle, type thing. So yeah, anyone like that definitely has some level of leverage. And the worst things get, we saw it in Germany, right? The only reason Hitler got where he did was because things got bad. So when things get worse and worse and worse, people do turn more to extremists, and extremists who know how to speak well, right, and speak their language. So that's what it is. Not Hitler, Trump. And Trump was an extremist, and there were a lot of people in America who felt like they needed an extremist because they were not being heard, by the elites, right? The political elites who were being elected president year after year after year. So we've seen this movie before. So if the EFF found a way to win, I wouldn't fall off my chair, because maybe the country might be at a place where, like, now we're fed up. We're fed up, and we need someone who's going to get us results. And someone like Malema is the type to be like, I will get you those results. Yeah, bro. And things can get very, very dangerous. But anyway, I guess we'll see how it goes. And we'll take it from there. Let me see what else is. I know this one will make us argue for hours. Oh shit, we actually do need to wrap up, Mr. Mark. But we'll do. Oh yeah, marrying for sheets. What's that about?
Um, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the chat that's been happening. Sort of, is it on social media? But I think it probably started when, I'm not sure if you know Ayanda Tabete. She is a South African. What
I
is it?
saw her tweeting.
Yeah, basically, she's a South African actress, entrepreneur, presenter, model, all of that stuff, right? But she'd always, I don't know, post in a luxurious sort of setup, with the fancy cars and all these things and blah blah blah. You know how it is, right? The usual sort of IG, IG queen influencer thing. Um, what then happened was her mans then had their, I think he had an investigation launched against him for what I will say corruption and all these things, stolen money and blah blah blah. Right. So then it sparked a conversation about, guys, listen, what is it about the Huns? I think we had this conversation separately, not on the pod, and wanting affluence to the extent where you will jola with someone who steals money, right? And then some people came on the internet and said, "Hey, listen, Mina, I don't want someone who has a BMW 3 Series 2017 and a once in a year trip to Durban and a three-bedroom apartment. I want more for my life than that." Uh, I'm obviously conflicted. I believe people should go out and date whoever they want, and chola who you must chola, right? But let's not place these obligations and requirements on other people. But at the same time, there's a part of me that's like, dude, I know the socioeconomic situation in South Africa. Like, SA is a third world country, although the affluent and the middle class may not understand. But for the most part, in my head, I'm like, no, but guys, it can't be that a BMW 3 Series 2017 and a three-bedroom apartment are seen as a basic life. because I think that's how it's been portrayed, right? Uguti, this whole settling down with Sanile, who's a bank teller, is not for you. But when you look at the majority of South Africans where they live, like a guy who drives a Polo and makes more than 20,000 Rand a month, he's in the top sort of 25% earning in the country. What were your initial thoughts on that, Mr. Maps? Do you think Oguti, the galleys are entitled to feel like, secure the bag, blah, 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 or it's a bit tone deaf to the situation of the country that they live in?
So this is where that guy was tweeting, "Guti, how can you argue with Instagram prostitutes?"
Yes, exactly.
Yo, that was a tough tweet. The man,
But yeah,
was. You could
that's
tell
exactly
that he
what
was
they were saying.
vexed.
It was hard. He
Nah,
has a story. He
he
must he
properly,
must come back and thread. You must come back and thread.
absolutely,
But then at the
absolutely.
same time, it unfortunately from men always comes across, and maybe it's the way that guys communicate this online. It actually always comes across as if people are haters. It's like, yeah, I can't get you because I don't have the money, so I'm going to shame you until you reduce your standards to my level. But at the same time, I understand
Yeah,
where they're coming from, right? Tuguti,
yeah.
ish, a
I
lot of these
mean,
people are chowing stolen money.
so I think, yeah, we've spoken about different things in the past in terms of the whole the hands who believe in Indo Damast and whatever and competing with criminals at Groove, and again it's still I think it all comes down to the same conclusion, which is there's a market, I think a booming market for these hands that will sell their souls for the bag, right? There's dudes that just want to throw around money, right? Ill-gotten money, and they want to spoil these hands. There's dudes who are out there and they perpetuate this type of lifestyle, right? I think these hands are not talking out of their ass. However, the problem is that this hand, for example, we talked about the BMW 3 Series and how that's a whack ass life and whatever, is tweeting amongst people that that is you're basically subbing quite a few people, and it's going to piss off a lot of individuals because the sugar daddies that you're talking about are probably not on Twitter reading those tweets, and it's the young working professional dudes who are like, bro, man, I'm just trying to hustle and find a good woman type of thing. Those are the
Yeah.
guys who are going to be on Twitter vexed, and now we're fighting whatever. I wish, and I've said this before on the pod, I wish there could just be categories where someone's like, the hand goes, listen, I'm looking for a nigga that's gonna take care of me, and then there's niggas who go like, listen, I'm here to take care of hands, and then they
Yeah.
can connect with each other, and then all you see is tweets from those guys and those girls, and that's your TL,
And
and
then we
then the
leave each
dudes who
other
are
alone.
like, yeah, and the dudes who are like, no, me, I want to build something with my woman, yeah, tintini, all this other shit, and Hans will feel the same. Then let's just see each other's tweets, because at the end of the day, and again, this is a tweet it grows truer and truer every single day, where there's a hand. She's talking about hands, right? But again, in this context, it means literally everyone. She's like, no, that's not the one I'm talking about. The one tweet where it was like back in primary school, we used to be separated 1A, 1B, 1C. The problem is that on
Yes.
Twitter, some people say
Yeah. I
slapping.
remember
We're
that.
all in one class, and I think that is a big problem because now people are catching the wrong subs, and like that's literally the basis of all the fights that you see on social media. I honestly, to me, I'm just like, y'all know why I'm on socials. I'm just there to laugh. So none of this shit ever vexes me. So the only thing that vexes me is Chelsea and the Lakers. That's where I proper get emotional on
Right?
socials. But
Like the
other
thing
than
pieces
that,
about
you know,
people's bedroom business sometimes it's like,
it's
guys,
just
like it,
it's
if
so
a
much admin.
han, if she wants that life for herself, then that's the life that she's chosen. Obviously, I think it was a bit out of pocket to then call that life a BMW with the 3 bedroom apartment and
She was too
the
specific.
holiday trip to Durban. It was very specific. The only problem is then that most South Africans don't live that life, right? The majority of South Africans can't afford a BMW. Majority of South Africans can't afford to go to
A
Durban
trip
on
to Durban.
holiday.
Yeah.
Majority of South Africans cannot afford a three-bedroom apartment in Midrand, Rosebank, Randburg,
Yeah.
Morningside, Sunning Hill, Centurion, all these places where it's now being called basic, right? So it felt like, okay, we are going into an area where a lot of people are tone deaf to the reality of the country that they live in, right? It's like going to Zim and then saying, "Hey guys, a $5,000 salary doesn't slap." What do you
Yeah.
mean it doesn't slap? Like, have you seen the poverty around you? And what's funny is Umdulo would have driven past the worst poverty you've seen on the African continent in Alex, got to their office in Santon, and then tweeted that opinion. And then I'm like, no, but did you drive past Alex? You get what I mean, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, man.
I no, I'm with you in that. These people just need to find each other, find and just be with themselves. I personally, as a personal thing, I just have an issue if you're, whether you're a dude or there's different standards, right? So as a Han, I have an issue with you if you're out here, like you can't afford to live the lifestyle that you're perpetuating, right? If that's like, if you need someone to come into your life in order to give you the lifestyle that you're like, hey, vele, me, shampoo, whatever, I think there's a big problem there, right? And then if you're a dude that's like bashing hands and being like, hey, really, if you're not coming here with a flat tummy and big ass or whatever, don't talk to me. But like you can't maintain a BBL Han, then again, dude, what are you talking about, right? So I have issues with both types of standards. At the end of the day, I just feel, you know, bitch and complain
Mm,
about your market. If you're in the in the upper levels, then hey, complain about whatever you want to complain about with
yeah.
whatever privilege that you have. But then this thing of like people now reaching, it's just like, bruh, like, why are you vexed? Like there's this one follower that I know, bro. Was proper vexed about girls getting implants in their boobs and their asses. Like, hey, what the fuck is wrong with the women? Hey,
Yeah.
what's just wrong? What's wrong with having just like natural tits and natural ass? And I'm like, chief, like that's not even your market. You know what I mean?
Mm,
Like, it's why are you so? What's the problem? Yeah, what's the problem? Like, at least if he was in the clubs, right? And this is what he's bumping into all the time. Completely, I get you, bro. Like, hey, what are these hands doing with the BBLs, right? If it's just those are the people approaching him, and he's just tired of being with girls with fake asses. Okay, okay, let me let you thread in peace. But
yeah.
like, if it's not really, when we know what low this is supposed to hlale watering hole, right?
Yeah.
No BBL items that watering holes, right? That watering holes closed now. But again, that's why I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, just stay in your lane. I think people must just stay in their lanes, and the world would be a much much better place.
Okay. One
It's
more
just it's
question before. So there is the stay in your lane argument. I will ask, to what extent do we have an obligation to shape the society that we live in, as well as the mindset of young people that come out of it? Because I do know for a fact that I probably wouldn't want to raise a daughter whose only aspiration is to date rich niggas, or have any of my
yo.
siblings have
Senna,
that
that's a
aspiration.
heavy question, and it's 11:39. Aye. That one is. I think
You know what? Let's save
it's
it. Let's save it. Maybe let's put it out to the
for
people,
another
right?
day, bro.
We'll tweet it
Yeah,
and
you can
then we'll
ask it to
come
the
back
people.
to it at another time.
I heard the words in your sentence like I was like, nah, 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 nah. This one is not. My brain literally said, absolutely not. We are not doing this right now. It's not gonna work. It's
It's all
not gonna
good.
work for me.
It's all good. It's all good.
But yeah, I think at the end of the day, I guess. Anyway, I don't even know what I'm saying, to be honest. I'm delirious. But we do have a. There was something. Honestly, I swear, man. I really thought there was something that I wanted us to talk about that was funny. I wanted to
Someone
laugh
sent
with
me
you
a
about something.
Siyazama.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, yeah. Although it's a disappearing, I remember it. I'm not sure if I can recite it, but they sent me this as a disappearing message. So, okay.
So
Okay. Hey,
I'm a message, go vanish mode.
bruh,
That's
this man didn't
dangerous.
want to leave a trace. But long story short, and this person can come into our DMs if I'm not summarizing it correctly. Oh, Mr. Maps, Siyazama is the part of the show where we answer you guys' questions before we head out.
Yes,
And
sir.
yeah, feel free to email us at sixfootways@gmail.com. Send us a DM at sixfootways, or if you're feeling brave, you can DM me or Tabo, or mostly me because Tabo doesn't play those games. And then we can do.
Wow, 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 wow.
I'm joking, guys. But then yeah, we will then chat about it. So this comes from, I'm not sure if you remember the story of the prophylactic Mecca a few years ago.
Yes, yes, yes. I do remember.
Yes, the prophylactic Mecca is back, and he's been
Okay.
eyeing some honey.
All right.
Honey feels him, but said honey has a male bestie, right? At the same time, they're feeling each other. He has a male bestie. He doesn't really know how to seal the deal, just in terms of getting it across the line. At the same time, I think he is conscious of said bestie. I'm paraphrasing, but I think bestie has been like a boyfriend to said Han. He's been performing a lot of the boyfriend duties. I don't know what that entails, to be honest. People have friends who perform relationship
Ah,
duties, but
he's operating on the wrong tender.
but yeah, so my man's obviously, I think he wants to seal the deal, but I think he also wants to address Lenda Baga Bestie, who was a, I don't know what that means, buying airtime or showing up or picking her up, or ordering Ubers, or I have no idea what it is, but apparently maybe they had that vibe. How would you advise Mans to seal the deal and also deal with that situation?
So hold on. Let me just make sure that I understand this correctly. So he's there's a hand that he's feeling, and the hand is feeling him, right?
Yeah, boy, yes.
But then the hand has a male bestie.
Yeah, boy, yes.
Okay. And what's male bestie doing? That's suspect.
Yeah, for those who don't know what Uxokozela is, Mr. Maps, maybe you can translate if you still have the brain
Oh my
capacity.
god. Oh my god. No, fuck man. Ish. So that's funnier than it should be, because there's another whole mega to medicine cousin where Uxokozela like. Uxokozela is being being unintentionally or intentionally being where you're not wanted.
Like you're just
That's
there, bruh.
Uxokozela.
Like
Yeah.
you're
What are you doing there?
asakhona nokuphefumula, like you're there. Where that's mean, yeah. But at the same time,
Yeah.
it's not like an active thing, but maybe you know what I mean, right? Maybe
Yeah.
me and the girl we want to do now. We are now spitting bars. You know what it is, right? Maybe this
Or
is
we're at the braai, and you see, I'm finessing there, I'm talking to someone, then you're coming and you're killing the vibe. Like, why are you there?
yes. And
Like,
it's not it's not like
let the man
I, I
work.
don't I don't
Let
I
the
don't
man
even I don't even think it's a why are you there. It's like you're not there with a particular purpose. You're not serving a purpose. You're not you
you're
know
interfering.
yeah,
It's
you're
just you're
interfering,
just
but not in a good
you're
way.
slowing
You
down
just
play.
yeah. So I think Upesti Axokozela, he's just there. He's
So he's
chunky.
trying to
He's in the
remove the bestie.
way. I think trying to get him to step aside as well, but also seal the deal with said girl because I don't think they're dating yet.
Okay. I think I think he can express to the lucky lady, "Uti, listen, I'm feeling you, but I prefer to be seeing you one on one. Like this thing of bestie showing up, I'm not with the shits. I want us to spend more one on one time, get to know each other. So, not in an aggressive way, just but make sure it's in her consciousness that you prefer it to be just the two of you guys spending time with
Yeah,
each other. So I think if he does that, if the lady is feeling him, then she'll also clock. When Bestie now tries to be prime Virgil van Dijk,
yeah,
and then she can show him the way out, and he
Okay.
doesn't have to do anything.
I think it's hard to make demands before you get the girl. Then it's like you might feel like you're over encroaching. You know what I
No,
mean,
but
right?
that's what I'm saying. If you do it, you have to have tact. You can't just in jail show up. There's a way to communicate these things. And like I said, if the hun is feeling you, right? If the hun is feeling you, then they will make time where they know it's just you and her, right? So if she's into you, she'll make that time, and like that's you don't have to be aggressive with it, right? You just say, hey, I really want to, have some one-on-one time with you. I just want us to hang out, get to know each other. That's not aggressive. That makes complete sense. So
Show
that's my
vibes.
recommendation. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
What
I hope
about
I
you? What do you
didn't
think?
know that's my chat. I actually always feel like some of these conversations are easier at the beginning, because also we are 6 months later, so kuluma bestie. Then that's a bit of a harder chat. But at the beginning, when you're still, I know this is what I expect from a relationship, then you can, lay those markers. I also think man needs to be brave. And by brave, I mean, like just go for what you want. Like, hey, I want you
Yeah.
and whatever. Let's do this thing.
We can do this the easy way.
We can do this the hard way. The choice is yours.
Yes. Shout out to the Boondocks fans out there. And also we got a follow up Siyazama from last week's. Our comrade came back to give us feedback based on the feedback we gave the comrade.
Hectic.
For
Pressure.
for as a quick refresher, this was the one who, let me see if I can quickly summarize this one. She had the dude, and the dude was into her, and then Chiggy Chiggy just ghosted her, and then now she was a groove, and one of the exes comes up and like, hey, you remember what did you do to this dude? Release him from your
Yeah.
from
Release him
your
from your
hold.
shackles.
Yeah, so dude wanted her, he ghosted her, and she's moved on with life, but he has not moved on. He wants her for real. So that's the Siyazama from last week. So she says, hello again, comrades. It is I, the one you told to return to that nigga. And I just want to say, nge mental health kabani, please. I would rather not. Charlie, I'd rather not know his end game because a rerun would kill me dead, dead, dead. I'd sooner enter a 6 month talking stage. Yes, I'm throwing shade at Tsunami, so and yeah, she's not about it, bro.
Guys, 6 month talking stages work. I
It's
am
even worse. She
living.
said she said I would rather enter a 6 month talking stage that I know would not sum up to anything than go back
Okay.
to that nigga. So yeah, it's an emphatic no.
Okay. Homegirl doesn't want to play
Dash doesn't
those
want fun.
games.
Nope.
But it's fine. It's
Nope.
fine. I understand. I understand. I understand. I
Yeah,
get
no, no,
it.
no. It makes me very, very happy when individuals are this self-aware, where they know, this guy is toxic, this girl is toxic. Let me stay away. I'm really, really proud of individuals like that. Like, I mean, even to be honest, even you, bro. Like when you went through your situation and you didn't
How?
go back, I was shocked. I was, I was, I
Oh,
was, I
oh,
was, I
that
was
situation.
genuinely, yeah, that, no, that situation. But what other situation do you have?
No, I don't. No, like you.
When you went through your breakup, I genuinely, I was like, when you're giving your boy advice, you're giving your boy, no, really, hey, no, screw her, bro. Like, really, we need to move on. Hey, what in? And your boy's like, yeah, 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 really, I need to move on. And like, in my mind, I'm like, this one is not really convincing here. You worry about the boy, but nah, he never once did Mr. Moyo fall back into the trap, and again, the sad thing is that you are in the minority. Most niggas would have gone back for another round of Mgo, and yeah, it happens. Dudes and girls get had all the time. But yeah, shout out to those individuals that are able to walk away first time.
People always come and say, "Remember how you were at that time." It's always a very good reminder. if you ever think of returning to something that almost killed you. You literally always just remember
Yeah.
how you were.
So I found that thread that I was talking about.
Yeah.
So it was a tweet. Actually, this is a different one, but anyway, I wanted to touch on it real quick, right? Because this was funny as fuck. We need a good women are not good people segment before we leave. So someone tweeted out, "Yaz, you can feel it when you are losing your girl."
Eesh, I remember that thread. I saw it, and you were retweeting all the comments and the
Yo,
comments.
listen, dudes have been through it. Dudes have been through
Oh.
it. So I wanna go off of it, and what was killing me is that it was banger after banger after banger. Like people were just out here catching real L's.
Lamia almost tweeted ngathi ngcono ngithule.
But the one, that's funny. The one that really kind of made me laugh,
Yeah.
because it's so true, was the one where someone said, when you start seeing selfies on the gram
That is so true.
with the public, with the regular civilians, like that's when you know.
Yeah.
That's when you know with the alapa. It's
Siyashuba.
late. You can start singing Bam Tati,
Babamthathile,
like it's
Lulavi
late.
wami.
It's late. At that point, when she starts doing that type of shit, then yeah. And then talk when the random "I got you your favorite sweets" doesn't phase her. The board of directors have already drafted your
They've
termination
terminated
letter.
your thing, bro. They
it's-
terminated your thing.
It's a fact. It's a fact. And the thing is, you know what's painful, right? Before we go into some of these other tweets here, you when you get ghosted, right? Or rather, when you don't know, when that person is not really showing you, or is not really letting you know straight up with, "Hey, bro, I'm not feeling you anymore," right? You are still on that, like, "Oh, I'm infatuated," or "I'm in love with this person." You're on that bandwagon, and then that other person is like, "Yes, you know what I mean?" Like it's so funny. Like you could show up with flowers and chocolate for the babe, and like she rolls her eyes, like, "Bro, why the fuck would you do this?" Right? And it's painful, right? Whereas like again, I'd tell people, rather put people out of their misery, bruh, because when you're in that situation when the love is unrequited, it is quite
Sad, bro.
yeah, it's a lot. Yeah,
It's sad.
It's very painful. It's very painful.
Kono Munye, there's the one that you retweeted where I think he said something along the lines of "Hey baby," and then she said something. I'm like, "Hey, how are you?" Like, I'm good. And then I think she said, "This is a 12." She was like, "Sayo pega" or something. Oh, she's going to run some chore.
It's like wash dishes, I think, or something like that.
So gezizitha, something. And then she comes back later, or he comes back later. It's like, "Hey," and she comes back with a good night. That's when you know, but yeah, no, rough.
Yeah, no,
But
it's tense.
someone actually said, "Uguti, men are actually worse when it comes to that."
Nah.
It's now
Women will make you die, make sure that you die a real death. They will
slow
send
and painful one.
This is why there's so many broken men out here, bro. They've been shown flames. This other own texted her and is like, you look good though. And she's like, "Thanks. I wish the nigga I wanted said that." That's
Ow.
Why would you do that?
Why would you do
Why
that?
would you do that?
That is painful.
So okay, so I found something similar to the thread where the hey, that's the one you're talking about. So look so it's like, "Hey, hi, are you good?" "Yeah, I'm good, and yourself?" And then I'm guessing this is the dude. He's like, "Yeah, I guess I'm alright. I'm just honestly exhausted." And again, if you are into that person, right? This is you. "Oh, I need to be caring," right? Like this person clearly wants to get something off of their chest, and you say, "No, I'm really exhausted." What's the follow up saying? It's, "Oh, what's going on? Like, what's got you so tired?" Right? Something along those lines. So she goes, "All right, from chores," and it's like, okay, cool. There's a bit of life in her response. Then my guy is starting. He's starting to open up, right? And he
Yeah.
says, all round, all round, it truly isn't easy, but I keep trying to remain positive. Right? So clearly, there's something lapo in this guy that he's wanting to let out. What does my girl say? She chooses, all right, anyway, good night.
Exactly.
Bro.
Oh, sharp.
I,
These kill me, bro.
bruh. Like, it's what?
I miss you. Ngicela ulale, please.
And then
Uh,
this other earn tunes, he was like, okay, sleep well, I love you. And then she just sent back like the stars emoji. And then he's like, oh, just like that. And she's like, and to tell la. Oh man.
listen to this one.
Hey.
This one is a true story. I once told her that I love her. And she said to me, Mfundo, wagcina nini nje ukutshela uma wakho okuzalayo ukuthi uyamthanda.
Wow.
Oh my God. Yeah. Ay, 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 ay. Oh.
That's one of the tunes. I'm kind of busy. The girl says, I'm kind of busy. I'll call you back later. And then 8 hours later, hey, good morning. Sorry, I slept off. Like, no. At that point, it's like, nah. It's, and again, my problem is that, obviously, because, I'm a guy, right? So my problem with women is they don't communicate that, hey, the love is gone. We're not doing this anymore. So like, I've been in situations where you're flirting with a hun, and you guys are trying to figure out, you're talking, right? In that talking stage, trying to see what's what. And then at some day, it's not, she's just not into it anymore for whatever reason, right? She's kind of like, I'm over it, right? But like, at least if you give me the signal, like, hey, chief, I was into you, I was feeling it, but I'm not feeling it anymore, then I take my L gracefully, I move on. The problem is when now I'm still we're still flirty, right? So now like I look dumb as shit, being like, oh yeah, I was just thinking about you, type of thing. And you just roll your eyes like, oh my God, ish, this nigga towel. I'm like, no. Like I'm saying that because I'm like, hey, we're in a zone, right? But if you've given me the signal to say, hey, chief, we're done with that shit, then I ain't texting you that, hey, bro, I was thinking about you today, or this reminds me of you, or trying to say some sweet shit, right? Because again, niggas will know half the time you're just, you're laying the groundwork, right? You're laying the groundwork for other shit. So if she's not interested, guess what? We move on to the next one. But you still
On to the
have me
next
out here
thing.
investing time, and I feel like they do it on purpose to have a dude that's still giving them attention. Because most dudes, the moment you say, hey, I'm not feeling you, it's like, sharp, okay, I move on to the next one, right? It's done, right? But then now, because it's like, no, I still want that attention to come, I'm just not gonna give him the same attention, but I want him still chasing me up so I can tell the girls, ish, like this guy keeps texting me, and look at these messages, isn't he so thirsty? Like inside, right? Just give me my papers, give me my marching orders. Let's move on. Men are not like women in the sense that like if you give a hand marching orders, then she'll be like, oh, so Vele, you were just using me. Vele, you didn't care. But, you know what I mean? Like niggas are not gonna come to you on that emotional tip, right? It's like appreciate you. Like you will find more dudes that will be very appreciative of you just being honest, to be like, chief, I'm not feeling you.
Besides the extreme criminals that deserve to be in the penitentiary, but most reasonable guys.
Nah, facts. No, me. If you give me you take the L, bruh. It'll be painful. I'm not saying it's not painful. It'll be painful. You take the L, but at least you know with the
Yeah.
I bump that.
Do you know what? Do you know what the common theme is from those screenshots though? There's a common theme of one word replies. I need to understand ukuthi kusuka sokuthini. Like when someone says I love you and you're like thanks. Good
Yeah.
morning, hi baby, hello.
Where
Suka
no
sokuthi,
problem turns to
because
NP.
it, yeah, because that is, I think it's abuse at times, especially if
It
it's
is a
not
form
like
of
in the
abuse.
middle of it's not like in the middle of a fight, because you are clearly showing what I'll say disdain. Like you're just clearly, like, you're just not there. Like you're actively showing Guti, I'm not here, right? But you're not saying anything, right? So the one word answers. And then there's reverting to formal correspondence, like a lawyer.
Email correspondence.
Have a great day further.
Yeah. Regards. Noted with thanks.
Noted, thanks. I made you some cheese. I made you some whatever. I made you a sandwich. Okay, thanks for your
Bruh.
help. Thanks for your effort.
Yeah, please, what's this? Go and address this behavior. It's absolutely unacceptable. Free the dudes. If you have dudes that are out here wallowing in your DMs, free them. Let them know. Be
There's
like,
someone who
Chief, it's not
said,
happening,
so
and let them be free.
someone in defense of the galleys, and maybe I to some extent I concur with this. Uguti, you'll think a lot of those screenshots, or you'll find that a lot of those screenshots probably come at a time when guy has probably not been doing the right things, and then it's now too late, right? He's now trying to do the right thing at injury time, so like, bro,
Yeah, but
suqala
in
ngabo
injury time, you can still win the game, is it?
suqala ngabo good morning when you haven't been doing it the last couple of months, or suqala ngabo hey baby when you've been calling me hi Margaret the whole year. And then when
Yeah.
I'm cold and I'm also saying hi Spusi, so then I look like the bad person. So there is that little disclaimer, Uguti. Sometimes,
Nah, I would say that's nah. I would debate that one. I think those are fringe cases.
okay,
I just
okay,
think women are not good people. That's the main theme of this discussion.
yeah.
Yeah.
What do you guys do when they're losing interest, Mr. Maps? Before we go,
I, Mr. Mo, it's midnight. Please, siyacela. Somebody say la thing.
yeah,
Somebody
no,
say
it
la.
is time.
Somebody say
It
la.
is time.
What do dudes do? Honestly, probably do the same shit. But yeah, it's. But again,
Okay.
like I did say, the reason we do what we do is because as a dude, you're more sensitive to not. You don't want the whole, villain. So me, you were cheating me like I'm a yape conversation.
Yeah,
Like you don't
yeah,
want to have to
yeah.
deal with that shit. So I'm just a hoe to you. No, like no, you don't want an honest answer to that. So like no, you're not, type of shit. Like it's just yeah, it's complicated. But it's really not. It's like dudes just go too far trying to be nice, and yeah. There's no justification for House to do that in my opinion, because again, a dude is not gonna lose. He's not gonna have that same type of reaction to you. Right, and even if it's like, yeah, so I was a piece of meat to you, and you say yes, he'll get over it. It's fine. Jealous straight, Give it to him straight, and you'll be fine. But anyway, Mr. Moore, it's been a good one.
Yes, it has been a
You
good
know,
one. Big ups to you, Mr. Maps. Siyabonga. Siyabonga. I know we were meant to record a few hours earlier, and then I got pulled in all sorts of different directions, but you made the time for the love of the listeners to jump on very
yeah, no,
late at night.
this one. I think we need to take next week off. Even, the way I'm feeling, it's like
No, no. Big up yourself. Big up yourself.
All right. Anyway, guys, you know the drill. Like the thing, retweet the thing, subscribe to the thing. And if you don't, we're inclined to believe you are a hater, Mr. Moyer.
Latest.